It is the Chez and Ro Show, bringing you Week 18 of CFL action. It is Friday, October the 7th. We've got a game tonight, 2 games tomorrow, and a game on Monday, Thanksgiving Monday. So lots to get to. Hopefully, we'll bring you some winning plays. How are you feeling, Chez?
I mean, there's no hope. There's no hopefully about it. It's just a matter of how massive a weekend it is. It's gonna be a good weekend.
I think so too. Let's start off with the first game tonight. We've got the Saskatchewan Roughriders heading into Hamilton, taking on the Ticats. Right now, the Ticats are 2-point favorites. You're seeing that at minus 2.5 at some books. Total sitting at around 47.5, open at 49.5, so it has ticked down a little bit there. Important one for both teams. Lost by the Ticats essentially eliminates them. If the Riders win, they essentially win the right to get a crossover spot in the postseason. So this is a big one. It's essentially a playoff game. What are you leaning towards in this one, Chez?
It's going under. It's look, if you look at the roster. So first of all, Stephen Dunbar out for Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
That's look at their receiving. Hamilton's receiving core does not look good, but I expect that defense with some pieces back.
Yep.
In particular, that Seontae Evans over there, and they're at home. They're playing for their playoff lives. I want to lean Hamilton here. That's probably where I lean in the game, but my play is under. I know their defense will play well. I don't know how many points they'll score. That's the issue. But so I lean Hamilton, but my play is absolutely the under. I love the under in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I took it earlier in the week at 49.5. I still think it's fairly solid at 47.5. But yeah, I think it's going to have a really tense playoff atmosphere. Roughriders, I mean, that offense has been all sorts of trouble all year. Offensive line got a few key pieces back, but they're still not great. And the big thing is they're down to what their fourth string running back. I think Shaq Cooper's been taking snaps there. He's penciled in as their starter tonight. So they're not really going to be able to run the ball in this one. It's going to force Fajardo to pass, and we all know what he's like when that Roughriders offense turns one-dimensional. And you did mention the loss of Dunbar. It is going to be interesting to see what Terry Godwin does with the Ticats. This is a guy that played with Georgia Bulldogs 4 years, super productive there, was bouncing around in training camps in the NFL. He was signed by the Ticats about 3 weeks ago, but he's going to make his first start today in place of Dunbar. So it'll be interesting to see the play there. I mentioned earlier in the week that there was a player prop I was looking for, and that was, in fact, Ticats receiver Tim White. Dropped. It's at his receiving yards total is at 72.5. I do like the over there. The loss of Dunbar, of course, is going to factor into that as well. I do think the Ticats, this is a team that loves to throw the ball. They don't rely on the run much at all. And Dunbar's had some big games. He's had at least 77 receiving yards in 4 of his last 6, gone over 100 receiving yards in 3 of those. So I think you're going to see a heavy dose of him in this one. And, that Roughriders pass defense hasn't looked great lately. So, I like that player prop for Tim White.
And a lot of conversation about that O-line in Sask. They were better last week. I will say they were significantly better. They're still not good, and that is a weakness. But I think they were better. They were better last week. But
and I will say I feel like it's been offset a little bit because that defensive line was so dominant early in the year. But after they cut Marino and with Anthony Lanier, he's been injured the last few weeks. That defensive line's still good, but it's certainly not the force it was at the start of the season. So their defensive line definitely isn't quite as good as it was early in the year. Still a solid D line though.
Okay.
All right, next games. We've got a couple games on Saturday. We've got starting off BC Lions heading to Eastern Canada, going to Ontario, taking on the Argonauts. Argos open as half-point favorites up to minus 1.5. Total sitting at 48.5. Another interesting one as well. Whenever BC has to travel over east or someone has to travel over west, it's always interesting. What are you leaning towards in this spot, Chez?
Yeah, no. That was, again, receiving core. Look, that was no Burnham and no Whitehead.
Yeah.
That receiving core in BC is not looking great. Obviously, Boone Guachum's out. I like Toronto. Toronto's the play for me here. Obviously, Wynton McManus is out. Toronto's a play. I cannot see any way in which Vernon Adams consistently moves the ball up and down the field. I wouldn't see that with his starting receivers, much less with the group he has here. I like Toronto a lot.
Yeah, the loss of Burnham and Whitehead definitely hurts there.
And together too, that's the key. Like you can go without one of them, but without both of them is you're losing veteran guys who have chemistry and understand. The rest of the guys are pretty young, or else guys who haven't been primary guys. So
yeah, and this is an Argonauts defense that can really get after guys. I mean, the loss of McManus definitely hurts, but I've got to say that linebacker seems to be one of those positions in the CFL where there's just a lot of guys coming off the bench who could just kind of rotate in, and you don't see a massive drop-off. I mean, we kind of saw that with the Ticats as well with Simone Lawrence out. And as good as some of the high-end linebackers are, there's other guys that can usually fill in and do a pretty good job.
Yep, I agree. Yep, absolutely.
All right, Saturday night, we've got the Edmonton Elks heading to Winnipeg, taking on the Blue Bombers. Biggest spread of the year in this one. Blue Bombers are 13.5-point favorites, total sitting at 50.5. I know where I'm leaning in this one, and I'm not really sure where you're leaning, but I've definitely taken a lot of the little nuggets you've dropped about the Blue Bombers in my handicapping this week. So what are you thinking about this matchup?
Go ahead. You know what you're thinking. Talk to me. Let's go.
You know what? I love the Elks in this spot. I know that Kenny Lawler shut down for the season now, but he hasn't been there for pretty much, he missed all of September. That offense played a lot better. Cornelius has been solid. And then you've got guys like Mitchell. You've got guys like Kevin Brown stepping up. I really like how competitive the Elks have been. I don't think they're going to win necessarily, but this Blue Bombers team, we've said it before, we'll say it again. They can be very conservative when they get up ahead early. And I really like the Elks in this spot, either to keep it relatively close or to backdoor cover with such a big number.
Yep, I think you're on the right side there. Also, hearing Stanley Bryant's question mark, if he's out, that's a big deal. And any Chris Jones team is just, I hate to always go there, but the reality is, he's a coach that demands a lot out of you. So they're out of the playoffs, but he's not shy. He's not bashful. If you're a veteran, if you're a rookie, whatever it is, if you're out there and you're playing and you're not fully engaged or being physical like you need to be in a spot where your season's over, he's gonna call you out. He'll send you home. Like he's just that kind of guy. So that I expect now. I don't know if a lot of guys I think will be playing for themselves and probably not. Schematically, I would be concerned with that because you start looking for stats, looking for interceptions, looking to make big plays and kind of bust some of the big picture or the scheme things you need to deal with. So I would not be all that confident in that part of it. But in regards to guys shutting it down, like they would in other teams, you won't get that from a Jones team. It's just you won't.
Yeah, and I think
undisciplined maybe, but not lack of effort.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do think one of the most interesting things about this defense is, they played a lot better recently. I mean, not great, but through the first 8 games of the season, let me just pull this up. So through the first 8 games of the season, Edmonton had surrendered 377.5 yards per game. That was almost 40 yards per game more than the next closest team. Now, in 7 games since, they've lowered that to 322.3. Which is among the top 3 teams in the league. And watching this team, you can see that Jones has started to identify guys that fit his system. He's brought in a bunch of newer guys, and you're seeing those guys really, fly to the ball, and you're seeing them play a lot better on defense. So I really do think this is a team that can definitely cover the spread and can make some money for us down the stretch.
Yeah, I think I think I'll ride with you on this one. I'll probably put a small play in Edmonton as well. It seems like the right spot, and even at halftime you can take a look and see you can possibly get off or hedge or do whatever. I don't think Winnipeg blows anybody out.
Perfect. All right, final game of the week, Thanksgiving Monday. Red Blacks playing against the Montreal Alouettes in Montreal. Montreal sitting as 6.5-point favorites. That line has stayed steady all week. Total open at 49.5, ticked down to 47.5. Big news, of course, is the firing of Ottawa coach Paul LaPolice. Lots of movement there in terms of who's going to be coaching there, who's going to be doing the play calling. Looks like I believe it's quarterbacks coach taking over, Will Arndt, that's going to be taking over as the play caller there. So Bob Dice will be interim head coach. So a lot that's kind of up in the air for this game. I don't have a play yet. I might make one when we get closer to game time. But what are you thinking? And how hard is it for a team to adjust to a new coach at this point in the season?
I don't think it is hard. Not in this situation. It's look, these guys were done. They were cooked regardless. Their season is over. I think Will Arden will bring some fresh. He was just playing in the league not too long ago, so he's relatable with some of these guys. Might have some ideas. The offense can't get any worse. Let's be real. But I love Montreal here. It's just that whole. We talked about it early on this week's show, but that whole angle of new coach. And looking to bet that spot. It's just not here in this game. It's just not. There's much, and the reason Montreal's just playing for too much. They're one game behind Toronto with 3 weeks left. Montreal's playing for too much. They're going to play well, and Red Blacks are simply outmanned. So you can all the Harry High School crap about playing hard for the new coach and all that. I'm just not buying it. That angle I like that angle also, but just not in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I remember first week of the NFL season, Baker Mayfield, everyone's saying, oh, he's in a revenge spot against the Browns. It's it doesn't matter how much he wants this game if he's not good enough to take it. And
right.
That's the thing. The Red Blacks might be far more motivated with a new coach, but it's still the same group of guys. And I don't really know how well they match up against the Owls. I don't think it's great. The Alouettes have looked pretty solid since firing their own head coach earlier in the year. So it's a tough spot for sure.
So Montreal, I like Toronto, and I like the under tonight. I'm rocking with you. I'm gonna call the support play. I'm gonna take Edmonton with you. I think you're on the right side. I'm gonna sprinkle there, but I like Montreal a lot. Toronto, I'm gonna play it, but I do like the under quite a bit tonight.
Perfect. Those are our 4 best plays, I guess, for the week. Then, guys, we've got the under tonight between the Riders and the Ticats, taking the Argos tomorrow. Taking Edmonton tomorrow as well. And then we're leaning towards Montreal at minus 6.5 on Monday. If you like your player props, I'm also on the over 72.5 receiving yards for Tim White tonight. Best of luck. Enjoy Thanksgiving.